The best financial advice you will hear is thousands of years old, and the worst financial mistakes people make today were already made by people in ancient times. Here is something nobody tells you. The things you have watched about finance tips, 100 reels and podcasts, is not a modern invention. We did not invent it, we inherited it. People in ancient times were just as stressed about money as you are right now today. They worried about saving, about losing it all, about building something that would actually last. The tools have changed. Today we have shifted from clay tablets to apps, from bartering spices to buying crypto at 2 a.m. The psychology, it remains same. It barely moved an inch. What I'm about to take you through is the story of 5 civilizations that cracked the code on wealth. We are going to walk through the bustling spice market of ancient Surat. We will stand in the dusty bazaar of Babylon. We will feel the marble floors of a Roman villa. We will breathe in the Renaissance air of Florence. And we will sit with perhaps the sharpest financial mind India has ever produced. Different eras, same lessons. But first, like this video and subscribe to our channel. We have literally invented time travel for you. इतना तो कर ही सकते हो ना? So let's go back, way back. Close your eyes. Close your eyes for a second. It's the year 1700. You are standing in the port of Surat on India's western coast. The air smells of cardamom, sea salt and pepper. Ships from England, Holland and Persia are docked at the harbour. Merchants are shouting in different languages. And somewhere in the middle of all these is one man who essentially controls it all. His name is Virji Vora. The East India Company's own record described him as the richest merchant in the world at the time, with a personal fortune estimated at 8 million rupees. That's roughly equivalent to 5 to 10 lakh crore rupees in today's money. But here's the part that blows people's mind. By 1669, Virji Vora was the biggest creditor of both the British and Dutch East India Companies. And by 1670, he had enough influence to stop French ships from landing in India over debts they owed him. A single Indian merchant stopping French ship in 1670. He was so dominant that English traders had no choice but to borrow from him, even at high interest rates, because he was the only one with the financial power to lend large sums. He controlled the pepper supply, the spice trade and the bullion market. And Virji was not alone. India at this time contributed nearly 27% of global GDP. This was a country teeming with merchant bankers, trade guilds and financial system that the rest of the world had not even imagined yet. Let's go further back. The ancient Indian texts, the Puranas, had an interesting philosophy about wealth. They compared money to a river that flows, gives life to everything around it. A river that stops flowing becomes a swamp. The lesson: wealth that sits still rots, wealth that moves multiplies. Modern economists have a fancy term for this. They call it the cost of idle capital. The Puranas called it common sense. Every rupee should have a job. If your money is just sitting in a savings account losing to inflation, it's a swamp, not a river. India's history shows that we know how to make wealth. And better even, our history taught us money that multiplies silently is the money earned. Now, let's travel halfway across the world, where a civilization quietly cracked the code on personal finance. Let's head to ancient Babylon. Picture this, it's 2000 BC. You are in the city of Babylon, modern day Iraq. The streets are lined with clay brick buildings. Merchants walk through the bazaar carrying clay tablets instead of phones. And a young man named Arcade is about to learn the most important financial lesson of his life. Arcade's story was later popularized in the book The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clason, and I genuinely recommend picking it up. It's thin, it's old, and it would quietly change how you think about money. The central lesson Arcade learns is this: a part of what you earn must always be yours to keep, not yours to spend, yours to keep. The Babylonians had a rule: save at least one coin in every 10 before you spend a single one. Before rent, before food, before anything, pay yourself first. Today, we call this automating your savings. The Babylonians were doing this 4,000 years ago. But here's what makes this really interesting. The ancient Babylonians also understood something that most people today still fall for. They called it protecting your wealth from risky schemes and the advice of people who don't understand money. Sound familiar? It's the guy at every family dinner with a guaranteed investment tip. It's the WhatsApp forward promising 40% returns. Different era, same problem. And then there's the one thing that connects ancient Babylon to your Instagram screen right now: procrastination. The Babylonian text talk about a man who always said he would start saving next month. Next month when things were easier. Next month when he earned more. You know how that story ends? The same way it ends today, with someone spending 6 hours doom scrolling and completely ignoring the finances. The lesson from Babylon that's applicable today too is simple. Start today, not next month. From Babylon, let's cross east back to India and sit with perhaps the most brilliant strategic mind in history. 4th century BC, Patliputra, modern-day Bihar, Chanakya, the royal advisor to Emperor Chandragupta Maurya, a man so sharp that kings feared him, and yet he lived simply, wrote meticulously, and had no personal wealth to speak of. His masterwork, the Arthashastra, is essentially a manual for how states and individuals should manage resources. And buried in it are financial principles that modern wealth managers still stumble upon and call new ideas. His most fundamental belief: no action should begin without a plan. Before you invest in anything, you must understand your capacity for risk, your time horizon, and the consequences of being wrong. Chanakya also famously wrote that too much of anything is harmful. At that time, he was talking about governance, but apply it to our portfolio and he is essentially describing what we now call diversification. Centuries before, Harry Markowitz won a Nobel Prize for it. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. But his most underrated idea, that wanting wealth is not shameful, it's a responsibility. Poverty, in his view, was a true enemy of both individual and society. So, if you have ever felt vaguely guilty about wanting to build wealth, Chanakya 2300 years ago would like to have a word with you. Now, let's travel west. And we are not going to a palace or a library. We are going somewhere more interesting: the streets of ancient Rome. Rome, 100 AD. The smell hits you first: bread, smoke, animal dung, and somewhere beneath it all, the Tiber River. The streets are loud, vendors selling figs and olive oil, children running past marble columns. And if you follow the really wealthy Romans home past the noise into their cool column villas, you will find something surprising. They are not just rich, they are paranoid. Not about losing money today, about losing it after they were gone. Roman elites were obsessed with what happened to their wealth after death. They built elaborate legal structures, wills, trusts, property laws, and specifically designed to transfer wealth across generations. Without it splintering or disappearing, Roman inheritance law was so sophisticated that legal historians still study it today. You could spend a lifetime accumulating everything, and one generation of bad decisions, family disputes, or legal gaps could erase it entirely. The Romans had seen it happen too many times to leave it to a chance. So they planned everything meticulously, legally. The modern equivalent to Romans' legality is a will, a nominee on every account, every investment, every insurance policy, and a conversation, an actually honest conversation with your family about what you are building and why. Let me share one mind-blowing fact. In India, around 85% people do not have a will. The Indian government hold around 50,000 crore unclaimed assets. Why? Because we missed a minute detail, not updating nominees since in the bank account. Creating wealth is hard. Keeping it across generation is even harder. The Romans protected wealth through law and planning. A few centuries later, one family in Florence protected it through something else entirely: geography. Florence, Italy, 1397, one of the most beautiful cities in Europe. Everywhere you look, there's art, culture, renaissance, and in there was a modest office on a cobblestone street, a banker named Giovanni de' Medici, who was quietly laying the foundation of what will become the most powerful financial institution in the world. The Medici Bank, from its creation in 1397 to its fall in 1494, was one of the most prosperous and respected institutions in Europe. But their real genius was not about money, it was location. While every rival bank of that era operated from one city, the Medici planted themselves deliberately across the entire known world: Florence, Venice, Rome, London, Bruges, Geneva. But here's the detail that makes this extraordinary. Each branch was not just an office, it was a completely separate legal and financial entity. Think about what that means. If London collapsed due to war or political chaos, Florence kept running. If Bruges went under, Venice continued. No single event in any single place could bring down the whole operation down. They had essentially figured out that risk is geographically, that the world does not fall apart everywhere at once. And if your wealth is spread wide enough, some part of it always survives. And here's the thing, you can do exactly what the Medici did. Today from your phone, you can invest in US markets through apps. You can buy international mutual funds that give you exposure to European or Asian economies. If India has a bad year, your portfolio does not have to look bad too. When the rupee weakens, the dollar denominated investment actually gain. Just as the Medici spread across cities, you too can spread across continents. Today, we call this geographic diversification. Now, let's talk about something most people ignore. Every civilization we have visited today, India, Babylon, Rome, Florence, built extraordinary wealth. But the ones who kept it shared one thing in common: they treated wealth protection as seriously as growth. The Babylonians guarded their gold from bad advice. The Romans built legal structures around their inheritance. The Medici structured their banks so no single failure could destroy everything. And Chanakya made caution a philosophy of life. Now, look at the modern world. Boxer Mike Tyson earned over $400 million in his career, gone. Multiple lottery winners have filed for bankruptcy within years of their wins. Countless family businesses built over generations have been dissolved in one bad decade because nobody knew how to protect their wealth. The pattern never changes. Money attracts risk. The more you build, the more there is to lose. And the ancient world knew this, which is why wealth protection was not an afterthought. It was built into the system from day one. So here is what 5,000 years of financial history actually tells us. Save your money before it's too late. The tools to track and save money might have changed, but the psychology to protect your money is the same. The best financial advice in the world is not new. It's just ancient wisdom that most people are too distracted to follow. If this made you think differently about money, share it with someone who needs to hear it.